Hello, so welcome to the Cool Crochet Society. I'm Kelly, and today I'm going to go through weaving ends. So I've just done a square of Apache Tears, a beautiful stitch, but as you can see there's tons of ends. So if you hate weaving ends, this is not the stitch for you. But how do you weave in so many ends without making your work look funny? So I tend to leave weaving all my ends in until the end. So I'll put my border on, and I'll do that before weaving in ends, just because if you do your weaving and you end up going into the outer stitches, it makes it a lot harder to get your border on later, because you can accidentally close the gap where you need your hook to go. So if you've got lots of ends, put your border on first. It's a much better way of making sure that you don't close those gaps you need. So I use a sack needle. I don't use a normal darning needle, which tends to be plastic and blunt. I have this really sharp sack needle, which makes life a lot easier if you're trying to get through dense stitches. And I crochet quite tightly, so I tend to have dense stitches quite a lot. So I don't like the method where you crochet over your ends. I don't think it secures enough. So if your item gets lots of heavy use, or it gets washed a lot, the ends can come out that way. So the way I do it, I go through a stitch in the row above. So when you change colours in every row, you can tell that quite easily. So for my first pass, I'll go through that, and then I'm going to split a stitch down there. To really secure your ends, you need to split your stitches, or it won't be secure. Okay, so for my first pass the needle, I go through the row above, just one of the stitches, and then go through the row that I'm weaving the end for, and I always split a stitch. Okay. If you don't split your stitches, it's not going to be secure, as you're basically just making a really loosely woven knot, and it won't stay. You have to split your stitches if you want your ends to be really secure. So that's pass one, and to secure all my ends I always make 3 passes. So for my next pass, I'm going to turn, I'm going to go through this stitch here, and I'm going to come down this way. So I'll split a stitch at the top, and I'll split a stitch there as well. And you're going to go over the same kind of area. And the idea is that you will end up coming back through the strand of yarn that you're weaving in, essentially making a knot inside the row where you're weaving your ends in. I come back up this way, split that stitch there, so I'm going over the same area. I'm going to pull that tight. So once I've done that, I'm going to cut this end off and just get nice and close. So you can see the end poking out there, but that is now secure. If I turn over, there's no kind of mark on the front at all. If you push down, you can feel it around you. You can feel where the yarn's denser now that knot's in there, but the front of your work isn't affected. But you do have a nice secure end that is essentially knotted inside the row. And that's really all there is to weaving in ends. So if you crochet tight, I definitely recommend getting a sack needle. They're very, very sharp. You do have to be careful, I won't lie. I've drawn blood a couple of times with it, but it is brilliant if you make dense stitches. and you're always going to be able to split your stitches really easily with it. So it's all just about going through the yarn over 3 passes, making sure you kind of go through the same area in the middle. Make sure you split your stitches. To make that knot inside the row. And it makes it really quite quick and easy. And then you just cut off. And I've never had a problem with this method. I've never had my ends come loose. So you can see a bit of a mess on the back, but on the front, no sign of it at all. So I hope that's been helpful. And as always, if you have any questions, please do come to the Facebook group. And I shall see you next time. Bye for now.